big explosion! It's coming at us, you guys!
History is filled with devastating stories of how natural occurrences have resulted in disasters that are often fatal. A similar incident occurred in 1991 when a tornado outbreak caused widespread disaster in the central United States, resulting in several fatalities and damage worth millions. The tornado's aftermaths were horrifying, and to date, residents of Andover, Kansas, remember it. This is the story of the deadly Andover tornado outbreak. It was April 25, 1991, when the National Weather Service issued a formal warning of impending bad weather. The computers indicated that a significant severe weather change was on its way, and tornadoes were occurring across the central southern plains. The next morning, NWS issued a high-risk alert of severe weather across the Great Plains. It was noted that a trough existed across the southwestern United States that early morning, and a jet streak of enhanced winds was reported to be progressing northeast towards the plains. The estimated speed of the winds was between 85 to 100 miles per hour. Within the next few hours, a high-speed wind measuring up to 70 miles per hour and approximately 5,000 feet high spread across the regions from south-central Kansas into eastern Nebraska. A surface low pressure existed over southwestern Nebraska, supporting a dry line southward into Texas and a warm front southeastward across eastern sections of Kansas and Oklahoma. The dry line acted as an essential part, acting as a lift, enabling thunderstorms to develop. The NWS noticed these signs and warned everybody that a high risk of an extremely rare form of thunderstorms and tornadoes is expected later. Given the unstable atmosphere and severe winds, surface dew points between the Kansas and Nebraska boundary rose above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Tornado-producing storms were first seen developing across western Oklahoma. However, they settled down as they moved towards Kansas. At 12:20 p.m. CDT, the NWS finally issued a particularly dangerous tornado watch, and warnings of multiple potential tornadoes were spread across the state. Within the next few hours, supercell thunderstorms rapidly increased, and in the next 30 minutes, these storms were going to turn into a tornado which would destroy the homes of thousands of families. At 5:49 p.m. CDT, the storm, which would become the Wichita-Andover tornado, began east of Clearwater, and in the next 15 minutes, the National Weather Service issued an urgent statement requesting residents of Hayesville, Derby, and Mulvane to seek shelter. 4 minutes later, an official tornado warning was given, and the intense tornado began destruction immediately. It first hit the southeastern areas of Wichita, and then directly struck Hayesville. Experts revealed that according to the speed and damage, the tornado would be categorized as strong as F2 to F3. It was noted to expand to a width of 220 yards and had multi-vortexes. As the tornado moved forward, it crossed the Kansas Turnpike just 0.5 miles south of the South Wichita interchange. During the movement, it destroyed several well-built houses in the Greenwich Heights subdivision area in eastern Wichita. Soon afterward, the first fatalities due to this horrifying tornado were reported. 4 people lost their lives due to its unforgiving nature. At 6:24 p.m., the tornado reached the McConnell Air Base, and this was one of the most terrifying moments of the ordeal. On the base were 10 B-1B bombers, each worth $280 million. However, a more sensitive issue were the 2 bomber jets that were fitted with active nuclear warheads. A worker present on the base recorded the video where a clear sight of the tornado was seen approaching the airbase. The tornado engulfed the whole airbase, and 9 major facilities were destroyed, including the officers' club, a base hospital, a library, and an elementary school. Surprisingly, no fatalities were recorded at the base, but 16 people were injured. According to the Air Force, total losses at the base amounted to over $62 million. The silver lining amidst the chaos was that none of the B-1B bombers were damaged, including the 2 with nuclear warheads fitted on them. The tornado continued to move towards US Route 54 in Kansas, in the direction of Andover. Forecasters immediately issued a heightened tornado warning, alerting the residents of Augusta and Andover to find cover and shelter. The warning was reached, but unfortunately, the tornado sirens in Andover failed. As a last resort, police officers drove through the Golden Spur Mobile Home Park and through the entire town, warning residents to seek shelter. The tornado had transformed into a large wedge stovepipe-shaped hybrid and entered the southern Andover area 10 minutes after the police began warning residents. It directly impacted the mobile home park, causing a massive wave of destruction. At the time, there were 244 manufactured homes, and the tornado destroyed 205 completely. The tornado had intensified to an F5, and that day, the town of Andover suffered the biggest loss of life. It was reported that there were almost 399 residents in their houses at the time when the tornado struck. With the heroic efforts of the police, 149 people were successful in finding shelter before the storm hit. On the other hand, the residents who did not heed the warning or failed to find shelter were seriously injured, and 13 fatalities were recorded. Joe Parsley, a survivor of the tornado and resident of the mobile home park, miraculously survived the ordeal despite not being able to find shelter. He spoke to KSN News on the 20th anniversary of the tornado and explained that as soon as he saw the tornado swiftly approaching him, he hid underneath his truck. He further told the media that the tornado hit his truck and it went airborne while he was being sucked and rolled underneath it. For approximately 45 minutes, Joe was stuck and pinned under the truck's transmission before he was rescued. He was later admitted to the hospital with a shattered pelvis and numerous internal injuries. Thankfully, he survived the injuries and came out of the hospital after 3 months of intensive care and rigorous treatments. Additionally, 149 people evacuated their homes, and no casualties were reported among them. 38 people remained in their homes, out of which 17 were hospitalized, and 9 sustained minor injuries. The additional homes were also swept from their foundations to the west side of the park, and this was when the Andover tornado was officially given an F5 rating. Throughout the city, 1,500 residences were completely destroyed during that period. The total population of Andover was around 4,300, and due to the tornado's destruction, a third of the population was left homeless. It remained on the ground for an hour and traveled approximately 74 kilometers. Moreover, the tornado also engulfed 2 churches, flattening them completely, as well as 10 businesses. The tornado continued northeast and affected the outskirts of Towanda. Along its path, 84 frame houses and several businesses were leveled. A total of 225 people were reported to be seriously injured and shifted to hospitals. It was later reported that the F5 tornado in Andover claimed 17 lives and reached its peak intensity at 6:29 p.m. At that point, the cyclone was over 600 yards wide. Shortly afterwards, the tornado began dissipating, and a news team from KSNW TV channel in Wichita headed back to their station. They were in the area to cover a story unrelated to the tornado, but the devastating circumstances forced them to stay in the shelter till the tornado settled. On their way back, the supercell, which originally formed the F5 Andover tornado, produced 2 more cyclones, and the news team was terrified. One of the tornadoes was extremely fast and followed their van faster than the van could drive. At that moment, they panicked and ran away from the van, seeking shelter under an overpass. They kept recording the whole event using their news coverage equipment. Miraculously, the cyclones did not damage the overpass, and the team survived. This led to numerous rumors being spread nationwide, and everybody believed that hiding or taking shelter under overpasses during enormous tornadoes was a good idea. But in reality, there are several reasons why this is an extremely dangerous thing to do. Most importantly, overpasses can dramatically increase wind speeds due to the wind tunnel effect, which can lead to the overpass being destroyed and the people hiding being buried beneath the wreckage. Scientists and meteorologists advised that such structures do not provide adequate protection from tornadoes, especially F5 tornadoes. Hence, they should be avoided. Moreover, meteorologists have strongly advised against seeking shelter under such underpasses, since it exposes individuals to flying debris, which is the #1 cause of tornado-related deaths. Furthermore, overpasses do not have girders for individuals to hold onto, which can result in fatal accidents. Lastly, authorities have stated that motorists who quickly park their cars under an overpass without pulling over to the side in case of a tornado also risk causing unexpected traffic jams, which can increase the chances of fatal accidents and tornadoes consuming vehicles. Although the storm had settled in Andover, southwards of the supercells in Kansas, a discrete storm produced another massive tornado at around 6:30 p.m. The tornado reached an F4 intensity and a maximum width of 1,500 yards. It started 2.5 miles east of Garber and continued south of Billings with an intensity of F3. The tornado ripped off power poles, toppled well pumps, and destroyed several oil tanks. It tracked on for 66 miles, and as it reached the Interstate 35 and entered Noble County, it reached an intensity of F4. Resultantly, 1 house was flattened and many trees were debarked. It continued forward, entering Osage County, where it destroyed 2 farms. Later, the tornado passed west of Pawhuska, demolishing an oil rig that had massive 18-inch foundations. Along its path, it stripped the asphalt off the roads, and as soon as it reached the Red Rock area, its intensity increased drastically. A mobile Doppler weather radar was used to measure the peak winds of this tornado, and at the top of the tornado's funnel, speeds between 270 to 280 miles per hour were recorded. In the wake of the tornado outbreak, Kansas Governor Joan Finney put in a formal request to President George Bush for the supply of federal disaster aid to Sedgwick, Butler, and Cowley counties. The aid was approved, and the $2.6 million program was funded by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the local government, and the state. Oklahoma Governor David Walters also requested federal assistance for 6 counties in his state. The American Red Cross and civil defense officials also scoured devastated homes and helped in providing aid to more than 370 families affected by the storms. Shockingly, 2 Oklahoma counties were not granted disaster assistance by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, as they noted that the damage in those counties was marginal for presidential declaration. Local officials in the Garfield and Washington counties criticized this decision, and thankfully, just 2 days later, federal assistance was made available to both counties. In the Eulagar-Talala School District of Oklahoma, the tornado left nothing but wreckage. The schools were destroyed, and the Oklahoma State Department of Education decided to forgive the remaining 23 days of classes. At the time, this was the largest number of instructional days forgiven in a single school year. However, the circumstances forced everybody to take this step. A local church held individual student conferences, while 170 construction workers worked day and night in double shifts to repair the school grounds. The school district reopened on August 15th. In addition, the district had 24 buses, all of which were completely devastated. Mechanics and technicians were able to fix 15 buses in the weeks following the tornado outbreak, while 9 were rendered inoperable. Following the devastating effects and aftermaths of the tornado, the need for swift modernization in the National Weather Service equipment was highlighted. Radar imagery machines which could detect tornadoes were scarce at the time, and when the tornado hit, the NWS only had the WSR-88D NexRad radar in Norman, Oklahoma. This was the only radar equipped with Doppler capabilities. However, it was not cleared for day-to-day use, and hence, the tornado could not have been predicted beforehand. In Oklahoma, this radar displayed important storm-scale characteristics, which included mesocyclones that were seen over 125 miles away in Kansas. This information was vital and could have prevented a significant loss had Kansas been equipped with such technology. Unfortunately, the Kansas forecaster relied on public reports and storm chasers due to a lack of technology. As a result, it led to one of the most terrifying tornadoes in the history of the United States of America. After the heartbreaking events, internal assessments about the tornado were conducted to study it and make safety precautions and policies that would prevent such disasters from reoccurring. The National Weather Service derived a report that stated that implementation of the next-generation radar network across the nation is extremely important, as it provides vital information about upcoming weather storms beforehand. The 1991 tornado, which claimed 21 lives, has proven the usefulness of radar technology, such as the WSR-88D, as well as its capability of rendering velocity fields and providing better azimuthal resolution reflectivity data. In the modern day today, many new technologies have been made and used by weather services and forecasters, which have resulted in improved tornado lead times. The tornado outbreak of April 26, 1991 saw at least 55 tornadoes, which lasted for over 19 hours, killing 21 people and destroying a large portion of Andover, Kansas. It remains one of the most notable and remembered tornado accidents in U.S. history, primarily due to the numerous videos of the tornadoes that were recorded by news reporters and individuals who had video cameras. The devastating aftermath made thousands of people homeless, and it was reported that the storm system caused over $272 million in damages across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. Despite its massive size, Andover, Kansas was struck the most, and to date, it remains one of the most horrifying memories for residents of the Golden Spur Mobile Home Park and Kansas as a whole. Thankfully, modern technology and advanced radar systems are now in regular use, which have resulted in controlling such tragic storms and tornadoes significantly. In the end, our thoughts and prayers are with the families and friends who lost their loved ones during the 1991 Andover tornado attack.